Petersburg, prominent Mariinsky Theater has been home to top ballerino Xander Parish, who left his native Britain to pursue his ballet ambition in Russia. His unusual journey for the love of dance and his story of rise in Russia right after this. This is World Insight. Our program comes to you Monday to Friday on CGTN. I'm Tian Wei. Earlier, I had the opportunity to have an exclusive interview with Xander Parish, the principal ballet dancer at the prestigious Mariinsky Theater in St. Petersburg. Since moving from London, he has loved his new life, wrapping up his audience in emotion through dance. Let's take a look at this first. Mariinsky Theater is one of the most historic theaters of ballet and opera from Russia. Over the years, it is the home of some of the biggest names of Russian ballet, and today we're going to meet one of them for the contemporary time. In fact, he's having a performance tonight at 7 o'clock. For now, he's going to share some time with us. Xander Parish, a British kid turned principal dancer of Mariinsky Theater. Let's go. The Grand Mariinsky Theater is now second home of Xander Parish, who is now the principal dancer of the Mariinsky Ballet Company. Parish left his hometown to pursue ballet at the age of 11, fueled by a sense of adventure and ambition. 8 years ago, he made the tough decision to move to Russia at the age of 23, where he has fallen in love with the country, fulfilling his ballet dream. What has been his journey from humble beginnings to dancing on the real world stage? Let's find out. You started in Britain, though.
That's right.
You're a British kid.
I'm Russian soul, British born.
When was the first time when you were dancing here? What was that like for you?
It was like it wasn't real. I remember it like yesterday. It was actually Raimondo what's on stage right now.
Yes?
And
you're going to perform that tonight, too?
I will, that's
yes.
right. Yeah, that's correct. So I remember I actually wasn't meant to dance. I just joined the company. Someone got injured, and they said, "Oh, Xander, can you please dance this pass?" It was the two friends of Raimondo, yes. the boys. I said, "Oh, well, I don't know the steps." And so I got a video. I learned it really quickly. I wrote down a bit of paper what to do. And that night I went and danced the performance, and I looked out at the auditorium,
yes.
and it was like, it was magical because it's so gold, it's all golden, and you're on stage, but it's warm because the glow of the lights are from the gold Tsar's box. It all reflects back at you, and it was magical, totally magical. When I perform, I want to give the audience something. I don't want to show them what I can do. I want to give them something to take away with them.
Yes.
I want them to take away a feeling. Not just a memory of what they saw, but a feeling of what they experienced. If I'm performing the role of Romeo, for instance, in Romeo and Juliet, I want them to cry. I want them to feel what I feel. What does Romeo feel on stage? What are his feelings for Juliet? How does he love her? How does he feel when she's dead, or he thinks she's dead? I want them to cry. If I'm doing Albrecht in Giselle, yeah. when the audience realizes that I've betrayed her, they should hate me. It's not just about what I can do. I mean, I'm learning. I'm trying my best to improve my technique to become a clean, better dancer. But that's always the foundation. You build on that with the emotion. It's the feeling for me that's important, not just the steps.
Absolutely.
So that's why.
So you learned that from the early time?
I don't know. It kind of came out once I started to dance and learn. I think it comes from inside. But certainly the amazing teachers here will develop that.
Yeah. But your story has been legendary, I have to say.
Yeah.
Started 4 years old, trying to learn ballet.
Correct, yeah.
But most of the time just playing with your toys.
That's correct, exactly, that's right. My sister was dancing, I was under the piano, like here, playing with my trucks.
Yeah. How did you get hooked to ballet?
Oh, it's funny, you know, I'm not even entirely sure. It just kind of crept up on me slowly and suddenly took over my life. When I was 11, I decided that ballet was the route I wanted to take. And my dad sat me down when I was 10 years old, and he said to me, "Look, Xander, the choice is yours. You must choose what you want to do with your life. It's your life. Your mum and I will not tell you what to do. You must pick. So what do you want to do?" I said, "Well, okay, I'll be a ballet dancer." And so I chose in my head. It was my decision.
Just like that?
Just like that. But once I decided, it wasn't just immediately. I really thought about it. And once I decided, I thought, right, that's it.
I have to say, you were quite a thoughtful kid. And then you went to learn ballet dancing in the Royal Ballet.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. How did that go?
That was exciting. I mean, I'm from a small town in England, in the north of England, called Hull, in Yorkshire, the county of Yorkshire. And that's about 3 hours north of London by car. And so when I was 11, I moved down to London. And it was a big deal. When you're 11, in England, it's very small. You know, we're a tiny country compared to China, compared to Russia. England's tiny, I mean, so little. And London's a long way away from anything. And so, how we feel. For you, it's nothing, I'm sure. But I was like, oh, it's London, you know. I was 10 years old, 11 at this point. I went down to London to start to be a ballet dancer. And it was an exciting time for me. I had to really work hard. I wasn't naturally gifted with talent, with ability. I found it very hard, actually.
Yes.
I loved performing, loved being on stage. I felt comfy on the stage. But in terms of technique, I had a lot to learn, and I was behind my friends in schools. I had to work twice as hard as my contemporaries.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure, actually.
How did you overcome those pressures?
I mean, when I was in the Royal Ballet School, you have maybe 12 boys in one class.
Exactly.
And all those boys are your competitors. They're your friends, but also your competitors.
Yes.
And so at the same time, you're competing for the top place in the class. If you score below 50 in your exam, once a year, you must leave the school.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
A lot of pressure.
Yes.
I mean, now it's different, I think.
Did someone help you?
Well, my mum and dad would always support me on the phone. I'd call them up, sometimes cry, you know, whatever. But my mum always said to me, you know, without pressure, there would be no diamonds. In the earth, like the carbon gets pressured and it produces a diamond. And so the same in your life. If there's no pressure, there'll be no diamonds in your life. So
and you are a diamond.
Well, trying to be.
Absolutely
being polished here. Shining,
being polished here. That's one of the interesting things, isn't it? I mean, you were with the Royal Ballet in London, and yet you are not necessarily having the possibility of dancing the leading roles.
That's correct.
At the same time, you did not have much access to some of the top training. You have to beg on your friends to train you every 2 years out of their kindness.
Yes, that's right.
So how did that work?
Well, I suppose inside of myself, I had the desire. The number one step is desire, and I wanted it. I wanted to dance. I enjoyed what I did.
When you said the word desire, I saw the lights in your eyes.
Yeah,
just like that.
It's a spark, right? It's from inside.
Exactly.
I mean, I think it's Nuri, I've always said, it's from inside. It's the, you know, he's alive when he's on stage. That was what he always said.
I know you were struggling before transferring from the Royal Ballet in London, of course, which is the very top.
In the UK,
of course,
sure,
here in Mariinsky, also top of the world. But that transition would not be that easy for a kid, you know, that age.
When I was in the UK, it was like a little bubble. I didn't even realize there was a world outside. I mean, I knew there was Russian ballet, Cuban ballet, all these other worlds, China, of course, emerging. A lot of great talent.
We'd love to have you in the future.
I'd love to come.
We'll talk about that part a bit later, yes.
But, you know, when I joined the Royal Ballet School when I was 11, there was this, my world was this big. It was the Royal Ballet School, the Royal Ballet Company, Macmillan and Ashton. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything else. And so it wasn't even a thought in my head that I could go to Russia. So when Yuri Valeryevich Vateyev invited me to come to Russia, my first question was, why? Why me? Why would I go to Russia? Who am I? I was nobody, nothing at all. And then what's good is when I did come, that my bubble got popped. And suddenly I found this new world, this huge ballet world. But what's really amazing is it comes full circle, because in the Royal Ballet School, one of my favorite teacher was Russian.
Oh.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
From this theater.
Okay. That's fate, as we Chinese say.
Yes, I agree.
But the time when the Mariinsky Theater wants you to join them and offering you a possibility of leading role, you were hesitating a little bit.
Oh, totally. It took me a long time to decide because, of course, my loyalty was to my home theatre in the UK. I was kind of naive. I was a naive child. I was young.
It's nice to be naive, you know that.
But I was a bit slow to pick up the pace on this one. So I was determined that if I just held my spear a year longer, eventually I would get noticed, and eventually I would dance.
It's much more complicated than that.
Yeah, it is. And it
as
never
you may
happened.
know. Yeah.
And so I was enrolled almost 5 years, holding my spears, carrying my trays, doing my walk-on parts. We call it mimans in Russian, like walking around the stage, carrying the objects, you know. And I was very good at it.
I'm sure you are.
I chose in the end because I thought, you know, eventually I will stay here in London all my life holding spears, and I wanted to dance.
You have a bigger world.
I hoped so. And I thought it was exciting because I thought, you know, I was like an explorer going to the jungle, you know, trekking a new path. Yes. I thought I'm the first Brit. No one's gone to Russia before from the UK. You know, in England we say you don't sell coal to Newcastle. That's where they dig the coal out of the ground.
Exactly.
So you don't sell ballet to Russia.
You dig the coal. You did dig the coal.
I dig the coal.
You've done a lot here in Mariinsky. You also tour with Mariinsky around the world. Among those repertoires, what is exactly your favorite? I know this question is so hard for a dancer because you love every role you dance. But you know, what really gets into your blood?
When I was a young dancer in London, I was always typecast as the prince. From being a kid.
Good for you.
Which is great, you know. That's a privilege. It's just how God made me. Whatever.
Well,
you know.
Mr. Prince, go on.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I was, from being 14 in school, it was down to you do Swan Lake. You're the prince. It was just the way it was. I wanted to do Corsair. I wanted to do Basilia. I wanted to do all the fun, cool roles.
Yes.
But no, I was always the prince. Just how it was. And so my desire when I was young in London was to learn to become that prince. I wanted to learn the classical repertoire. I wanted to be Prince Siegfried, Count Albrecht, Prince Desiree. I wanted to learn these roles.
Yes.
And that was my real desire. And where in the world better to do that than here? Where else? I remember at school when I was maybe I was 17 or 18. I got told by the school to dance Swan Lake for some performance. I said, please can I wear white tights for the performance? They said, no, Prince Siegfried wears black tights. I said, why black tights? I want to wear white tights.
Yes.
But I didn't know that in Russia everyone wears white tights for princes. But in England, the Anthony Dell production of Swan Lake back then was wearing black tights. And the prince always wore black. Fast forward by, 5, 6, 7 years, here I am here, wearing my white tights. And
there we go. As I said.
So I knew inside, somehow. Now I've learned those prince roles. I'm still trying to improve. I'm not saying I've got there. I want to improve. But now I want to learn the other repertoire. I want to learn the Russian repertoire. We have ballets here which aren't available in the West.
No.
Ballets like The Legend of Love or Shiraleh or this wonderful
Anna Karenina.
Yeah.
Oh, think about that.
Already. I'm learning this one. It's a great part. I'm improving. I've done it a few times. I want to improve on it more.
So what is Russian ballet? If I ask you 8 years after being the leading dancer of Mariinsky, what is it?
It's history. It's culture, and it's in the Russian blood, all put together on stage.
And the audience are very critical.
They are. Yeah. I've learned that the hard way.
Really?
Sometimes I'll be in the Zal here watching the performance.
Yes.
And a babushka will come up to me and say, oh, I know you. I watched your performance last week at Swan Lake. I like this. I didn't like that. Yeah, they'll tell me what they think. I say, thank you so much. I appreciate your work.
Your friends back at home, the other 11 kids, might ask you, so, Xander, how does that work? The system in Russia for dancers.
It's a good system they have here. Firstly, what I respect very much about the system here is how they develop dancers. Back when I was in the Rabbi 10 years ago, the system was missing the opportunity to develop talent. There was potential. Dancers such as myself had the correct physique, the correct legs, the correct form. But
more than the correct legs, I have to say. Yes.
That's very generous, thank you. But they were missing the system of how to get from level A to level Z, how to jump. There weren't any teachers. The coaches in the Royal Ballet are only for the principal dancers, who are already principal dancers. And so they work on the repertoire. But who helps the kids? Who teaches them how to become
So
principal?
you have to grope your way.
That's how I got my friends to help me. I was like, please, come over here and
Exactly. But here it is more systematic.
Systematic. There's coaches, many coaches, who, when a dancer joins the Mariinsky Theater, if they have the potential to become a great dancer in the future, they'll be given a teacher to teach them and to grow them like a plant being watered by a gardener.
What is their relationship, you and your teacher here?
It's great. It's like having a second dad, you know? My teacher's Igor Petrov.
Do you want to have a second dad? That's another question.
Well, whether yes or no, I have one. I have one here.
Another strict dad?
My Russian dad.
Yeah.
It's a privilege, and my teacher he'll be with me in the performances, in the wings. He'll listen to the music. He'll tell me corrections. It's a support.
Yeah.
And that makes you grow.
What is it that made you such a gentleman on the stage?
Well,
I was watching a little bit video of your previous dances.
Well, thank you.
And you look at the way you work with the female dancers.
Thank you. That's very generous. I'm glad you noticed. That's very nice to hear.
You support them with all your strength, lift them as if they were glass in a way, very light. We know it's not. And you put them down so gently.
Yeah.
You yourself even held your own breath to make them stay.
That's correct.
And look at gentle. You know, one dancer is good with himself, that's one thing, in your solo.
Yeah.
But it is another thing whether you could also be both shining and supportive at the same time.
That's how it's meant to be. I mean, I was taught from a young age that the male dancer, his primary objective is to make the ballerina look good. That is my first job, is not to make myself look good, it's to make my ballerina look good.
But you know, everybody is being told like this, but not everybody is doing it like this.
I suppose that's true, I suppose. I guess I listened.
You did.
I remembered this.
You did.
Because I want my ballerina to look good. Firstly, I want her to be comfortable, I want her to be happy, I want her to feel good.
Yeah.
As long as she's happy, that's number one. If I can do a good job as well, that's number two.
Now, you know, Russia is changing.
Yeah.
Its economy coming from under sanctions
right.
to now prosper on its own.
Very much so.
And also try to link with everybody else.
Yeah.
Cultural scenes too.
Yeah.
Mariinsky travel a lot around the world.
Yeah.
So how is it like for you in a country in transition?
I have huge respect for Russia. I've fallen in love with this country like I never expected to. When I came to Russia 8 years ago, I came here to learn to be a ballet dancer. That was my desire, to learn to dance and to grow. I had no expectation to absorb the country. It was the ballet I came for. But in the process of being here, I've fallen in love with this city. I mean, you've been here. The city is incredible.
Absolutely.
I adore this place. I walk around. Last night after the show, I walked outside. It was the white nights already. The sky is a light blue. It's with palaces everywhere. It's just, Russia's come a huge way. In the last 8 years I've been here, the country has grown in every respect. The buildings are improving. The metros are being built. Even the cars on the streets, you see better and better cars everywhere.
Exactly. I travel here every year for the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum.
Right, of course.
You do see the changes every year.
Yeah, you do, very much so. We have beautiful malls being opened, like shopping centres and things. You know, everything is here you could ever want. It's a beautiful place to live, and the people are very special here. I feel. I'm from Yorkshire, like I told you.
Yes.
And the Yorkshire soul is, in the UK, it's known for being very warm and very friendly. And I feel at home here because it's very similar, in Petersburg especially. People are very friendly, very kind. I mean, back home in England, people have the idea that Russians are very cold and closed. But actually that's not the case.
It's not.
It's not true.
Thank you so much, Xander. I really enjoyed every second of our conversation.
Me too. Thank you so much.
That is my exclusive interview with Xander Parish, one of those British kids who is rising on the international ballet stage after becoming a member of the Mariinsky Theater in Russia.